Hey guys, welcome to the Raw Report, episode 43. I am your host, Jericho, along with my co-host, Bone Santana, and the co-founder and one of the founding fathers of RFS, Mr. Rolando Clutch Gutierrez, baby. Scotty VP in the house. And what an exciting few weeks has been, guys. We took a couple of weeks off. You know, we've got things going, but it's been going crazy out here in the league as usual. Fantasy football in full effect. And crazy series of events, bro. We're continuing to see how terrible some people are doing in fantasy leagues and how good they're doing. But before we start, guys, hit the like button, the subscribe button, drop a comment, follow us on Instagram at Raw Fantasy Sports. Primo, what say you about the season so far?
All right, listen, man. We're good to go. Listen, man. First and foremost, dog, I've been in this damn league for about 14 years now. No, I'm lying, maybe it's 10. I've created this back in the day with Brian Moreno, Danny Perez, Andre Perez, brought in the whole crew in there after that. So glad to see that where we're at right now. In this stage, you got a little podcast going on. You got a great Discord channel, website, 4 or 5 different leagues. So to see that growth is phenomenal. Shout outs to you, dog. In terms of the football week, though, man, of course, we got these news that coming out here with the Jets and the Bills, but more importantly, what I do want to talk about right now is that nobody is talking about the Houston Texans right now. 5-1, I think they are right now. They're going to run away with the division. The Jaguars are not good. That's another topic for discussion. We're going to start a dialogue about Trevor Lawrence being a generational bust because I think that nobody's talking about it. We're talking about first overall pick. I mean, I think it was time, but we've got a season that's been real, of course you got the Kansas City Chiefs that are still playing well, but you got a lot of teams that aren't playing well. I mean, I know what's going on with the Eagles out there with Jerry, and then of course the Cowboys are a total disaster. But, you look at the Vikings, the Lions just putting a pounding on. You got, the Niners are kind of slowly making their way back into the mix though, man. But it's nice to see. It's refreshing to see other teams now being at the top, and it's not the same old. So it's good, and I guess we'll talk about it a little bit more here.
Absolutely. You hit it right there. Those are the main topics going on right now in the season. Very observant.
Truly very observant. Thank you for your analysis.
Because it is. Honestly, when you mentioned the Vikings, I was like, that's right. The Vikings, you feel me? That's something that wasn't in the front of my head. But no, yeah. And my dark horse that no one really contended in the offseason for me, which hasn't been a surprise, has been the Lions. I like how they're built in the trenches in offensive line and defensive line, even though they just had a blow. Losing Hutchinson, but they may be on the market for a homecoming with Max Crosby or that holdout, Jason Reddick, former Eagle that went to the Jets.
Hassan Reddick, yeah.
Oh, Hassan Reddick.
Oh, we got the Bolivian Siberian just joined us.
Speaking of homecoming.
I thought it was Tyler Hero.
Has it been 5 minutes? Yes, it has. All right. I took that ass home last week in fantasy football.
Oh, my
0-4,
God.
baby.
Oh,
0-4 up against my arch nemesis. From day one, I hated him.
All right, so this roast session right here is brought to you by Boar's Head Roast Beef Sandwiches. Andre's about to put it into...
I'm not putting in anything. I'm putting it on. No Diddy, okay? No oil.
The guy below me right
no
here.
Oil.
Andre's going after the guy below me right here, whatever his name is, dog, and let him have it. We are going to get into it in a second, but Dre, we were just talking about, not only that, I completely forgot to mention that the Commanders with Jaden Daniels, top of the division right now. I mean, Jesus, you got all these, the teams right here that we were just talking about that normally wouldn't be up there at this time of the year, other years. So it's good to see fresh faces up at the top of the division. This guy's favorite team, the Dolphins, somehow are still, I think, second place in the division, even though they've lost 3 straight.
Second.
Or I think just one recently, but they started 1-3. So, but first topic that I wanted to talk about in conversation here is the Polo League, which is the top premier league in general. If nobody knows here, I am I mean, these guys know, but for the viewers here, I am the only two-time champion in the Polo League. The first Hall of Famer inducted, the inaugural Hall of Famer inducted. Jerry had my commencement speech. He was the one that inducted in Tampa. It was a 3-hour speech. It was incredible. A lot of sobbing. The ladies were loving it.
I think even the
made a
pets were
standing
crying.
ovation.
I heard the dogs whimpering in the back. One of them started clapping.
It was a 2-hour standing ovation. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump were hugging as they couldn't believe how incredible that passionate speech by
JFK Jr. was there too.
Oh, Junior's Junior.
He flew in on a helicopter as a shade to his. You know what? I won't get into that.
So this year I started a little bit unlikely. The people that listen to the podcast know because I've seen it and heard it. I've had some issues. I burned some sage. I drank some dragon blood, and I've turned my season around. We started, I think, 0-4. We won a couple in a row here. Obviously, the two people I beat are the two people down here. Last place and third to last place right here. But we're moving on up, and so we're about to turn it around. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to this gentleman down here for letting me whoop that ass one time, and for letting the gentleman down there whoop that ass a second time as well. So thank you.
Yeah. Kids. This goes to show: don't ever draft sober. Okay, I'm 2.5 years sober, and I'm 1-4.
Yeah,
soon to be 1-6. So do the opposite of safe. Okay, and dare go after them drugs, kids.
So listen. So we had a situation at the start of the year. We had a little draft party. Everybody was having a grand old time. I like to do my little, kind of roast session at the end, talking about people's fantasy teams. Of course, yes, I am the gentleman, the guy, the one and only person here that was making fun of this guy, Anthony Santana's team down the line and all that, made fun of all his picks. He immediately dropped Alan Lazard as, he was bullied into it.
He was bullied.
Yeah, he was bullied into it. By certain, parties unknown, and then totally, as my friend Pontiac would say,
the winless.
In an unrelated incident, after I made fun of Alan Lazard, he was dropped from the team. Totally unrelated, reasons for that. But I did. I picked him up, and him and I played this week. And for anybody that would like to know, let me go ahead and just kind of put this here for the camera, just because I don't want to spoil it. But we came down to the wire, Monday Night Football, and if you kind of see right here, let's see, come on, there you go, we're almost there. So right here, there's a guy by the name of Alan Lazard. It's going to be upside down or reverse, whatever. But he had 23 points, and I see here Anthony Bones, they say is his name, Santana. Lost by 15. And so now he is on a downward spiral to be last place. As a matter of fact, Yahoo has him projected to finish the season in last place. And so I would like to say that for the people that sit here and listen to this podcast, the last person that you want to take advice from is from this gentleman down here. Thank you. Now, please continue the monologue.
I don't even know which box is which. I don't know where you guys are right now.
Well, I'm going down here because he's under me down here. Is that how it's lined up, Jerry?
That's exactly how it is.
Perfect. So this gentleman down here under me.
Now that was incredible. That was incredible. It was amazing. Rolly, can you please repeat all that again, just so I don't have to hear Bones. I still don't know who Bones is. He's a fictitious character in this novel.
Neither do I.
Listen, we got blockbuster trades that just happened, actually. Fresh trades off the press. Speaking of trades, guys, and trades in the league. Devante Adams, Amari Cooper on the move. Amari Cooper got dealt to the Buffalo Bills, and Devante Adams is on his way to wash up the shores of Aaron Rodgers.
I saw a fantastic meme today, by the way.
Going up.
I saw a fantastic meme today that said that Devante Adams going to play with Aaron Rodgers is the equivalent of when Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce were traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And so I kind of agree. It's a couple years too late here, boys. Aaron Rodgers is already not good enough with Garrett Wilson. Now we're bringing Devante Adams into the mix. We're going to go from 2-4 and finish the year at 6-11. Not a big fan of that trade at all. I don't think it helps anybody out there. And I got to tell you, when you're seeing what Jordan Love is doing in Green Bay with 4 different receivers that aren't really considered big time receivers, maybe Jaden Reed is probably the best of that court.
Yeah, he is.
And you see what he's doing there. And Aaron Rodgers had half of that receiving core and couldn't do that anymore. I mean, you can bring all the weapons you want, man, but at some point, Aaron Rodgers needs to start taking blame for how bad he plays nowadays. Like he's not as accurate as he used to be. He doesn't have the cannon that he used to have.
And, what do you mean? He threw a Hail Mary from 3 fields away, and guess who caught it? Lizard.
Yes, but as somebody who had Lizard King, Lazard, by the way, and was very happy about that. I mean, that's what they call it, a Hail Mary for. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys feel about that. But
my favorite part was when Bill Belichick was live on TV with a Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and he literally called the Hail Mary. 3 seconds later, Aaron Rodgers throws that Hail Mary successfully. It was unbelievable, guys. Check it out on RFS on Instagram. But that was an unbelievable play, man. Bill Belichick is like, these guys are so predictable, I can call their plays from here.
That was a great catch by Alan Lazard, too, by the way. I mean, over 3 people, those are some sure hands. So give it up to him as well.
Speaking of hands, I showed Bones these hands last week in our fantasy football matchup in Polo League and in the Gulag League. I beat him in 2 leagues. Just had to bring that up. But yes, I think Amari Cooper is going to reap a lot of benefit. This is 4th time traded in his career, but he's been a Pro Bowler 5 times. So he just hasn't found his niche. He hasn't found his home. Josh Allen hasn't thrown a pick all year. He threw, I think, like 20 plus last year. 6 games, 0 picks. Amari Cooper is going to help speed up that offense. James Cook was out, banged up, a couple backup running backs. So that offense is just going to get better, I think. And, speaking of Devante, the meme I saw is the one with Willy Wonka walking with a cane, pretending to be injured, right? When he's walking into the factory, leaves the cane, and he does like a little nice roll, like front roll and somersault. I'm okay. That's Devante pulling up to the Jets facility because that hamstring was good back in 2021. He's fine. He's ready to go. If you have Devante, fire him up as soon as you get the questionable tag removed off his fantasy name.
I feel bad for Sauce Gardner. I know his stock is going down right now. Devante Adams, they announced that he will be starting this Sunday for Week 7, and we're 50% away through the fantasy season pretty much. But Devante Adams, he's lacing up this Sunday after being out for 3 weeks with that hamstring injury. I think he's gonna ball, man. This is what Aaron Rodgers wanted. He wanted to reconnect with Devante Adams. Now we'll see what happens, but keep in mind, Aaron Rodgers is a 40-year-old quarterback. All right, man. Like I'm not expecting much. The Jets are a terrible organization, but I think Devante Adams is going to do well. I think he's going to get his points. Amari Cooper's move is very exciting because who else do the Buffalo Bills have, right? So he's going to eat up all those points. His stock is going all the way up. Cleveland, they left Nicholas Chubb on an island. He's set to come back, but they don't seem to have anybody else that's going to be producing for them. So that's exciting for anybody that's been holding Nicholas Chubb, stashing him away on the IR.
What do you guys, because this is, I know that sometimes we like to joke around in this podcast, and I wanted to joke around a lot, but I'm serious about this conversation right now because you trade Amari Cooper, you got Nick Chubb left, you got $180 million that you owe to Deshaun Watson right now. I mean, you're looking to Photoshop him into some of these Diddy pictures, right? Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to have LaFett's come and pull up at his door because that's over. You might as well just start trading your assets at this point because
100%. 100% agreed.
nobody's going to talk about it, but does Myles Garrett go next now? Because what
Myles
do you
Garrett
got?
needs to go.
What do you got left over there?
They have to bench Watson and start Jameis Winston. That's the only way they're going to win. His pregame speeches date back to Florida State. He is an icon when it comes to gathering his teammates and rallying. It'll be a nice feel-good story for him, but the Browns aren't going anywhere, not this year, not next year, not in the next 10 years. They got to cut their losses with Deshaun Watson, get him out of there, and put him in handcuffs in between Diddy and R. Kelly, right there, sandwiched in between.
Yeah, I'm 100.
Listen. I think is a travesty. I told you guys the moment he left Texas, I'm like, this is the last time we saw Deshaun Watson. Everybody said, give him time. He's been terrible. He jacked the organization for everything they had. He's just a poor leader overall, guys. He can't motivate a caterpillar, all right? So, like, Jameis Winston might as well be put in there because he definitely is hungry for the starting job. And he's probably more likable. Let's just be honest, guys. He's probably more likable in the locker room. And he understands the culture a little bit better. He's more, he's less distracted than Deshaun Watson here. He has more lawsuits coming around the way. His troubles are not over just yet, but the Cleveland Browns, man, they're done. Myles Garrett, I would say he's on the chopping block. So it's only a matter of time before we get that.
Might as well trade him and get some assets back, some future picks. He's worth a first rounder, at least one, maybe most likely two. Start your rebuild now. Stop throwing your assets, your dollar bills into the fire. It's not worth it. It's not a long-term solution. Move on.
We didn't get Bones Santana's thoughts on that.
Go ahead, Bones.
He's still thinking about the loss that he took last week on WWE Monday Night Raw.
We got handicapped
tables, ladders, and chairs. It was a sight. It was a spectacle. Yeah. You should have seen it. He was sweating bullets.
All I know is that Rolly didn't sacrifice the chicken before ranting. Therefore, the football gods look down upon his rant and will continue to curse him like the sacco that he is.
No, but listen, I said I drank
silence, peasants. Andre, on the other hand, is definitely headed for the sacco.
Picchu, by the way.
All right. Both of you
I've never been the sacco once in my career. I don't think it's going to start this year. I'm coming back.
Look at that. Football gods love to jinx Bolivians. It's already written in the commandments. And second of all, I know you guys look at your rosters and cry. You have the sorriest collection of players in the leagues, and that's why you guys squeaked by. I had 3 running backs on bye weeks. Terrible management on my behalf. That's the only reason why you survived, Rolly. And you, Andre, you won in the gulag because I forgot to put in a kicker.
Listen, this is nothing more than the battle of the mid here. Primo, I'm 5-1. Listen. You gotta relax.
Oh my God.
Relax. I'm going back to back on that ass, Boner. Specifically on your ass.
It's too early. It's too early for you to call that. See, another hex has been put upon you. For all you guys know, I'm Sauron to you guys. I'm fucking Thanos. It takes you guys to team up together.
You know they both lose in the end,
How do you let Caesar be 6-0? How
you let Caesar be 6-0?
He's a rookie. I play him this week. For the first time.
There's a rookie curse in this league. It's a reverse curse. Remember Hugo's first year?
Oh yeah.
Tulio won his
he won, and he drafted 11 wide receivers with his first 7 picks. I don't know how he did it. 7 picks in, he had 11 wide receivers on his roster. I'm still trying to figure out. There's an algorithm. We don't know what happened.
I think
shout out to Hugo. He'll be back next season.
Let's go, Big H.
I think Andre's right, actually, now that I think about it, because Tulio, shout out to Tulita, went to the finals his first year in the league and then lost to me. Then he won the second year. So it is beginner's luck at some point. So I do got to agree with Andre.
Hey, but I was sitting next to Caesar all night, and he was scheming. He was looking up. He was changing his tabs a lot. He had like privacy screen on. But he was investigating, looking at picks, analyzing the situation, making sure people didn't know he was related to Bones, and that's how we made his picks.
And I also have to add, he's 5-1 in the other league, so he's 6-0 in polo, 5-1 in college football. It's an extraordinary talent. Let's see what happens, guys. But we're trying to get into the playoffs. There's still a lot of football left to go. All right, let's not get it twisted here. But I got an email from Interpol today saying that there's an international warrant out for Dak Prescott's arrest. All right, the man has stolen $280 million and completely embarrassed Jerry Jones on his birthday on any given Sunday, baby.
My favorite outcome of that terrible debacle of a game, especially for Dallas, was how afterwards Jerry Jones likes to get on radio shows or podcast shows related to Dallas Cowboys, and was asked by the host when is he going to give up the reins because of the mess that he made, and he went ballistic, saying, "Do you want to keep your job? I'll have someone else. I'll have you replaced by next week." Definitely getting to him. The old man is cracking. What's going to happen? I don't know. I don't think he'll ever give up power. He has to die for that to happen.
I think he died 3 years ago. There's just a little specimen that's just controlling his brain and just moving the sticks like this, because he looks like he died a long time ago. But speaking of death, so is Dak Prescott as a starting quarterback for the Cowboys. He got overpaid and he's not getting laid. I'm telling you, that guy is Dunsky. If I was CD, I'd get out of there now.
Ooh.
He's not. They're gonna just get out of there. I mean, look, man, there's a lot of talent here for quarterback coming up here in the draft. If you're smart, Miami Dolphins, you start tanking now, and you make sure you get yourself a nice little quarterback of the future next year. The Cowboys should think about that as well. I mean, I hate to say it, but somebody like Cam Ward with CeeDee Lamb looks good. But this goes all back, by the way, to the fact that you lifted the embargo. I heard you say it earlier. What B. Santana said earlier, that Jerry Jones doesn't like to be held accountable, and he's like, he's at this point where, he's cracking. I mean, it's true, man. This team didn't do anything in the off season. You've got the corpse of Brandon Cooks walking around there. You've got some if your name is Rico anything, you should not be playing football, dog. I don't give a fuck who the hell you are. I don't know. I don't care if you run a 4.240. I think his name is like Rico Dowdy. Bro, that guy's not starting NFL. Yeah. And then you bring Zeke Elliott's oily cadaver back into Dallas, and this guy had like 3 carries last week for like 2 yards. Those are prime Zeke numbers out there. So, I mean, you didn't go and get Derrick Henry like they said. You paid all this money to Dak Prescott, and you've got no offense, man. Like, you got no offense. You wanted to move away. Last year, the story was, let's move away from Dak Prescott passing the ball all the time and start running the ball when they had Tony Pollard. Then they let Tony Pollard go. They don't replace him. Now you're back to begging on Dak to try to win you games. Why? Because of all that money you gave him. You let Dak Prescott eat you up, man, and you fell for it, dog. Jerry Jones, you old-ass geezer. You are 9,700 years old, dog. You've been in the football league, dog, longer than Jesus been alive, dog. And you let Strawberry Daiquiri Prescott, dog, tell you that he was going to get 200 and something million. You paid that motherfucker every single penny, and now you are stuck 2-5. You're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, because Washington is playing terrific. The Eagles are probably going to sneak in. You've got no shot at making the playoffs. And you know what's going to happen in 3 weeks is that Dak Prescott's going to have a Dak Prescott comeback game where he's going to throw for 3 touchdowns against probably some weak-ass team like the Carolina Panthers, who made Derek Carr look good. And he's going to throw for 3 touchdowns. And everybody's going to say, we are back, we're good to go. We just had to let Dak get going. And then I hate to quote Stephen A. Smith, but he's right. It's always an accident waiting to happen, because by the end of the season, once again, here we go again. It's just a circle of life with this team, dog. So shout outs to none of you guys being Cowboys fans, because it really must.
I can never, man. No.
I can never, man. But one argument that they always have is that on paper, Dak always seems to get his stats in, and that's the reason why he's getting paid. Trust me, there's nothing more than I'd like to see that guy playing in Cleveland. But for some
You want to
reason,
see
man,
Dak
his
play
stats
with
are speaking for
Cleveland?
himself. He just
He should
can't
be
get a
playing for
team
the
through.
Toronto Argonauts, man.
I hope so.
Those are probably the only two contracts that could be traded for one another. Watson's contract and Dakota's contract.
You know, that
Think
would
about it. Think about it.
that neither of those two teams would do that, by the way.
I mean, might as well at this point.
At no point in your incoherence did you say anything that made any sense. We are all now dumber for listening to what you just said. Please stop talking, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I know you're reading a meme, Andre, because you can never be that funny.
I mean, Primo, I don't know. I mean, listen, bro. I know you're the biggest Cowboy fan. I mean, hater. I'm sorry. And you're right, but Dak Prescott gets all his stats in either garbage time when they're down by 30 or against bad teams. Once in a while, he'll look decent on prime time. He's not a pro. I mean, Tyler Huntley's a Pro Bowl quarterback. At this point, being a Pro Bowl quarterback doesn't mean anything. That just means you play football. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, brother, there is nothing that I am seeing that is if I'm a Cowboys fan, there's nothing that I'm seeing that says, damn, that looks good. Like he can still get it. He can win me a title. He can win me a playoff game or two. Like, no, there's nothing there, brother. I don't see it.
He's gonna
any
follow the legacy
quarterback
of Tony
can have a
Romo.
good year, but that doesn't make them a franchise quarterback. And that's where their mistake was made. Dak had a good year last year, but that did not make him a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, a team that is doing good, or at least had a good start, were the New Orleans Saints. And Derek Carr has been doing work out there with Alvin Kamara. And but that's quickly gonna start diminishing as Derek Carr got got an injury. I think he's gonna be out for about 4 weeks. So let's see what happens with the Saints. Kamara is supposed to get all the workload now, but he seems to be a little bit banged up. He's definitely paid dividends to me because I have him in several leagues, and he's been putting a massive amount of points week in and week out. And for me, the Saints have taken me by surprise. Although they're only 2-4, I see them climbing up that NFC South. I mean, but it's tough. Baker's doing very well, and Atlanta is also doing very well as expected. So Baker's the one that's basically taking everybody by surprise, and it's one of those things that if you have Baker on your team, I know you picked him up, Bones, after the catastrophe that happened in your QB situation. He's doing good, man. He's doing well. They put up 51 points this last weekend. So 4-2. They're tied for first place with ATL. But I see New Orleans coming up, man. I know that Derek Carr is out, but they'll figure it out.
That's their dark horse. I mean, I don't see it. 2-4. One more loss and they're in the hole. Who do they play?
It's early. There's still a lot of football left to go.
Rolly, who do the Saints play?
This week, yo, Bona, dog. I don't work for ESPN, dog. I can't tell you who they play against next week, man.
I know you don't work for ESPN. You work for BNN. All right, now tell me who they play before I fire you.
Yeah, listen, Bona. First and foremost, let that be the last time that you talk to somebody with as grace and power as I do.
This is your contract. As soon as this podcast is over.
Look, I will say that the Saints. They lost a few games with Derek Carr before he went down. They were kind of starting to fall under with Derek Carr. So I don't think that they will make the playoffs.
No.
I think the Falcons and the Bucks are the two teams there to run with the division.
Yes.
And truth be told, man, we have to have a serious conversation about some of these teams not being able to properly develop their quarterbacks. The Jets being one, with Sam Darnold going to Minnesota, but Baker Mayfield has rejuvenated his career. And seeing Baker Mayfield, I'm the biggest I have skepticism towards Bryce Young. I think he's horrendous. But after what I saw with Sam Darnold, in Carolina, And seeing right now with Baker Mayfield with Cleveland, and now he's with the Bucks, maybe Bryce Young does need to change the scenery there. Derek Carr had to change the scenery, and I'm not seeing anything different from him. He's the same old Derek Carr. He's coming in there. He throws. He likes to throw. He's got a good running back, but I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs there. So watch out though for Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins maybe vying out for that division South.
Big Kirk, go!
Well, now, were you asking me if the Saints are they playing is because they're playing the Dolphins?
No, they're playing the Broncos.
Oh,
they play the Broncos.
So, all right, so they have a shot to win. They have a shot to win.
Yeah, they play the Broncos Thursday, Chargers, Panthers. So they can go on a little 3-game win streak, right? But after that, their schedule isn't that tough. But yeah, no, it's
that's
right. Atlanta. It's Atlanta that's going to win the division, or the Bucks, right? Those are the only two teams there. Bryce Young, it's too early. It's a few games in. He's still unpolished, but he needs some confidence in him, and his team isn't doing that for him. So we'll see how he turns out.
All right, guys, and that brings us to the conclusion of episode 43 of the Raw Report. But before we get out of here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button. Hit us up on Instagram at Raw Fantasy Sports. Subscribe on YouTube, Raw Fantasy Sports. Big shout outs to the founding father, Mr. Orlando Scotty B. P, the legendary,
the one and only, the only one,
the Bolivian Siberian, and Mr. Bone Santana. I'll see you guys on the next episode, 44.
Raw.
You guys